All right, listen. Your values can override your struggles. Let's get it.
Yeah. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there, guys. How's it going? My name is Sumedh Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today, man, I really got my sleep that I lost, okay? I am so thankful and so grateful for that because my sleep cycle has been so in the flow that I haven't been giving myself time to actually rest and incorporate rest more into my days. So now I feel like that's almost closed that gap, which is quite powerful. So I want to talk about this idea of virtues or values. This is what they used to believe back in the day was one of the keys towards happiness is to be a virtuous person and to live by your values. And your values is this thing that is not just straightforward, but it's also energetic, I believe, because you start to carry and embody the values that you believe that you have. Take the example of brand integrity. Are you being who you say you are online and offline? A lot of people are being a very specific way, but their identity is completely different online and offline, right? So it's really important that you give yourself a certain kind of space and a trust in the platform. Like, I know that when I turn the video on, I trust that it will protect me and keep me contained in these lenses. You see what I'm saying? I have that mindset because I've done it so many times that it's fused my mirror neurons, my neuroplasticity with recording videos. So I could be feeling 100, I could be feeling 0, I'll still record a video because it's become a process of discipline, not a process of, oh, I have to be motivated now, right? Which is, again, it's a push, it's a trying. This is not so much a trying, this is more of an expressing of what is already within me, right? And I'm just making way for it. So when you have your let's say you're struggling with something, write down the emotion on one side of maybe a flashcard, and on the other side, I want you to write down a value that you hold very strongly. And now I want to ask yourself, how are those two related? Okay, let's say you're struggling with grief, and a value that you hold is authenticity. How do those link? Well, when I'm more authentic, I can grieve better. When I'm holding it in, I'm trying to have people approve of me and like crave this neediness, my grief stays there. Okay, you can make that link. You could actually make that link, right? So try it with something else. Let's say that you're struggling with a feeling of, let's say laziness, right? Let's say you're struggling with laziness or complacency. So you write down laziness on one side, and on the other side, let's say whatever one of your values. Let's say it's your humor. You love to make yourself laugh and others laugh. And you gotta ask yourself, why in those moments when you're lazy, why don't you feel that humor? Why can't you make yourself laugh then? Now you're trying, what you're doing is you're bridging the gap. You're letting your values override the neuroticism or the anxiety or whatever it is that you're struggling with, right? Because values are grand themes across time. It's like the same thing as an archetype, right? That Carl Jung talked about. An archetype is actually an unconscious pattern that went years and years and years ago. They used it in myths and stories and all sorts of things, right? And symbols and icons. And throughout history, throughout culture, as it starts to evolve, you notice those patterns. The same thing with values. Values have evolved over time. It's a concept. It's something that has been born into the world as a thought form from people thinking about it and acting and behaving through that value. Right? I highly recommend, if you haven't taken the values in action quiz, to do that, to find your top 3 strengths. And that questionnaire is about character strengths, right? Your strength of your character. You got to know what the strength of your character is, otherwise you're just messing around in this game, right? You're like kind of like uncertain about what character you want to play, right? Now I'm still waiting on I watched that Love, Sex, and Goop show or whatever the heck it's called on Netflix. I'm waiting for my erotic blueprint to actually come in so I can start really work with my avatar when it comes down to that. So it's interesting to note that, like there are love languages, there's also a sexual blueprint language in a sense. And that makes perfect sense to me because, again, each of our lives can be defined through different layers. Like, not everything is going to be for us. I think these different categorization things, like the personality quizzes and things, just give us different maps. But understand the map is not the territory, like the menu is not the meal, like the movie trailer is not the movie. So once we understand that, and at the same time we understand we can lean into these maps and actually get us to explore and have better self-awareness and self-knowledge. And through that self-knowledge, we start to practice. It gives us a better resonance and an ability to learn and actually integrate what you learn, right? You're actually integrating what you're learning, not just learning it and then forgetting about it. The way you do that is you apply the piece of wisdom immediately in some way. You either anchor it into your body through a sensation, through a feeling, through a movement, or you write it down on your piece of paper or a phone or a tablet, whatever it is. You go forth in some way, the closest possible way you can get to that goal without actually getting to that goal, right? So you want to look at the really, really micro step, the baby step, as I like to call it, the embryo step, right? As I like to call it, which is even before it's born, there's a spark there, right? So really start to understand what is that spark? What is that thing that is permeating in the background that needs to be birthed into this world, created, right? Because if you don't act on it fast, someone else will take it from the same matrix it was born from. You see, there's this idea of big magic, right? The Elizabeth Gilbert. But yeah, man, so this is a very, very deep topic, right? And I think that there's a lot of exploration to be done on this topic. So you want to take these attractive values that you have and you want to build on them like a skill set. So how do you do that? You start acting with your strengths throughout the day. So let's say your top strength is humor. You gotta make yourself laugh throughout the day. If your top strength is empathy, you gotta give throughout the day and like resonate with people and be compassionate throughout the day. If you are, well, mine is perspective, so I always try and see from different perspectives. I think that's also one of the reasons why I tap into the flow state so much, because I see from a different perspective. But once you're there, you don't see from the self anymore. So it's difficult to describe because the self evaporates. And I think that's a powerful perspective or a paradigm to even be in, because it's the bridge of the subconscious conscious world, right? Flow state. So it really starts to teach me, like, flow state is my teacher in a sense. It's sort of weird to say that flow state is your spiritual teacher, or it's there to be your guru or guide. But that's my GPS for me. When I was practicing boxing yesterday, and I'm doing this online for now, but just to train myself better, I was practicing one punch over and over again, right? So I was practicing one punch over and over again. And what I started to learn is that the vibe you have has a muscle memory. And just like that, your values can also have a muscle memory. You could think, oh, loyalty, but then so many times I've been disloyal, or people have broken that loyalty, but loyalty is royalty. So when you think of the fact that your value has been broken by others and you're not strengthening it, it becomes a weak value. It doesn't have that fuel or that strength to carry on. But these are character strengths. So you want to really feel them and live through them, like filters, like a layer. Like you put a filter over a light, it becomes a different colored light, like that. So let's say that you're taking a specific idea of, like, let's say justice or courage, and you're wearing that throughout the day. How are you going to behave from courage? Well, you're going to be leaning into your fears, are you not? You're going to be doing things that day that you didn't want to do, but you do it anyway because you know the outcome has that treasure. and you're willing to go through the fire. But if you had, let's say, a different value instead of courage, it wouldn't really help you to lean into that fear, right? So you have to pick the right values for you. There's so many values, but you have to pick the one for you, but also look at the general objective map that it gives you. That's why doing these tests online gives you a certain general map to understand. But you still have to do the inner work and exploration of what these values mean to you and how you can actually use that and crystallize that into different areas of your life. Like, if my top value, right, is a sense of humor, am I laughing in my work? Am I laughing in my relationships? Am I laughing and creating a good sense of humor with, my health? And look at the different areas of your life when it comes down to a value, because a value is extremely powerful. I sincerely believe if you can carry that value with you, you can start to generate this invisible thread, this energy, where you're maintaining your character on a deeper level, and it's opening the doorways towards certain joys and freedoms that you might have and opportunities that you might get. So that's a really, really powerful anecdote. Just really tell yourself, in the next decade, what are the values that I most want to stand by and stand with that will get me consequences from that value, results from that value, ambition that takes me towards that value, right? And start to generate that lifestyle, a valuable person, a VIP lifestyle, right? A very important person, because you hold values, because you know your worth. You see what I'm saying? So I hope you enjoyed this video today. Have an incredible day today. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's get it today. Upward Spiral Gang.